Hi, welcome to Nasha's Art. Today I'm going to show you how to draw the most famous of the three Gorgon sisters called Medusa. She's most famous for her snake-like hair and her horrific face that is so terrible that anyone who looks upon her would turn to stone. Let's get straight to it, but before we start, please do like and subscribe. I would be so grateful for your support. Begin by drawing a straight line lightly down the center of your page and markate a central line gently going across. You don't want to press hard because these will be rubbed out later. From there, you're going to go to the top and come down a little way, maybe 1.5 centimeters, but use your eye. Something about that, and make a little mark. That'll be the top of Gorgon's head. This will be Gorgon's waist. And then down here will later on be her feet. Next, we're going to begin by drawing a curved line like this for her waist. And we're going to then curve up in a sort of V shape, one side and the other. In lots of Greek pottery, Gorgon is depicted as being really very muscular. You will then so if this is the top of your V here, imagine that, I'm drawing a very gentle line to show you. I'm going to come up about a little way up from that, but it's not very far, maybe a bit less than 1 centimeter. And I'm going to do kind of the top of her clothing of her neck, like this. From there, I'm going to come curving out for her bicep. You can always bring the curves of the V at the top down a bit while you fit the rest of her arms in. So we're going to do underneath her arm now, and we're going to bring it curving over the V like this, and then curve out and over the other side. So she's got like a deltoid, that top shoulder muscle, her bicep, her tricep here, and we're going to extend that into an elbow and curve it up this side, and from this side you're going to curve slightly over and up to a slender wrist. We're going to get Gorgon's hand in now, and you want to, from the top of the right hand side of the wrist, come out so that we form a palm on both sides, and this will turn into a thumb. And then we'll come up for all the fingers. 1, make them quite long, 2, 3, and 4. Adjust the shape as you like, but it's that sort of general idea. Now we're going to do this arm pointing down. Often she's depicted running, and she has this kind of one arm up, one arm down, and we're going to do that as well. So the top of her neckline here, again, we're going to kind of mirror this to start with. We're going to get that deltoid shoulder muscle, so curving over. Then we are going to get the bicep. Well, actually this time it will probably be the tricep because it's the top back of her arm. And from here, this will be curving over like like this. Bicep coming in. If you feel it's too fat, just move it up or down if it's too thin. Mine, I think, is a little bit fat, so we'll just go up a bit. Bicep, and then come over to get that arm muscle. Remember, the arm's coming down towards a thin wrist. I'm just going to do that a little bit fatter for that arm muscle. We've got the elbow in this side. Give a little lump for the elbow, curve in slightly and come out for the muscle and towards the wrist again. And we're going to then do her hand pointing down. So we've curved in for the wrist, come out for the thumb, gently out a little bit for the palm, and then down into the long fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we will focus on her head before we get the rest of her body in. We made a mark earlier for the top of Gorgon's head. We're going to start at the central line and come up and over, and mirror that on the other side, up and over. Underneath that, let's draw a guiding circle for her face. Leave a gap here because she often seems to have some sort of, whether it's a beard or hair, on her chin. So I have my guiding circle just to help me get her face in the right sort of place. Halfway down that, I'm going to draw a line, just a light line to guide me, because under that line will be her mouth. In between the chin and the line, we're going to do a curve, a round bit at the end, and a curve back down, and same on the other side. In the middle of the bottom bit, we're going to rub off the very center because she has her tongue lolling out of her mouth quite horribly, and in many pieces of pottery this is how she's depicted, with her tongue sticking out. She also was said to have fangs, so either side of the tongue we're going to draw a couple of fangs. Around that she had her other teeth. So we can get those in. You can make them pointy or flat. And around her mouth, we are going to do a double line. So we're going to double it for her lips. So it's a really rather horrific grin she has, which, as we well know, was so horrific that it would turn anyone who looked upon her to stone. Even after her death, when Perseus carried her severed head, if he needed to defend himself on his way back from his great task of killing her, he would pull out her head from a bag and show it to his enemies, and they would immediately be vanquished because they would be turned to stone. So quite useful when you needed it. I'm going to make her tongue just a little bit pointier. There we are. Now, we drew a line across the face a little while earlier, a very light line, and just under it will be the bottom of her nose. We're going to also go more, not quite in the middle of the top of her head and this central line, but just below, and sort of draw like a triangle. This will be her nose. Come out, and then in and to a point, other side of the point and out. If it's uneven, just tweak it so that you're happy with that sort of nose shape. Once you are happy, we will get her unibrow in. So nearer the top of the head, we're going to curve up, up, and over the other side. Try and make it symmetrical. And in between that, of course, we'll get her eyes. Curve up, give it a spike, and down to meet the other end, and like a sort of spiral shaped eye. And the other side, try and again make it symmetrical, which is always a bit of a challenge. Come over to a spike, and under, and then again the spiral for the eyeball. She sometimes has sort of like a curved line for cheeks. You could put that in or you could leave it out. So already she looks pretty horrific. We want to give her face a little bit of shape. So I'm going to curve in either side of this bit and then out for a sort of horrible looking smile. She was said to have a roundish face. I'm going to come under here for a sort of chin and bring down the other side. She's beginning to look very horrific, which is a good thing. I might round that off a little bit because the Gorgon sisters all were said to have round faces. So let's make that round. Now we need to do a curl here and a curl here. That's maybe curls, maybe snakes. She also is very often depicted with sort of snaky curls framing her face. So let's get those snaky curls in. There we are. And earlier we did this sort of bump either side like this, and that's actually the bottom of two snakes. So we're going to get those snakes in now. So let's get the first shape in. You came up and down a bit, and you're going to curve round to your snake head. And let's get the other side as best we can so it's quite similar. Curve round and in. Tweak it as best you can to make it look as symmetrical as you can. And then you're going to turn those into snakes. So let's do a bump for the eye, pointy bit, and double it up for the body. Draw the eye in, and let's do the other side. Bump for the eye, point for the mouth, curve in, and follow the body round. Let's get Medusa's hair in. She's famous for her snake hair. We're going to follow this line to just make a curve for the rest of her snaky locks. I'm also going to do a couple more snakes coming out the side of her head. Now, Medusa was known to be, before she got turned into this terrible monster, she was known to have the most beautiful hair. And some stories go that she bragged and was so sort of conceited about her hair that Athena, the goddess, grew jealous or grew angry and cursed her and turned her into this snake-haired monster. Medusa's sisters were these deadly Gorgons as well, but unlike them, she was born mortal. They were immortal and they killed many warriors, many men over the years, but Medusa was unusual in that she was mortal. Hence the reason why Perseus was able to kill her in the end by chopping off her head. I'm just drawing a couple of snakes this side as well. I'm trying to make them symmetrical. You could do them randomly or symmetrical, whichever you fancied. And I suppose you could add other snakes as well if you felt like it. Down here, she's sometimes depicted as having a beard or hair or some sort of pattern, but basically follow the face round with a sort of fine line, and from it she seems to have these sort of beard-like projections. Give Medusa quite a wide neck, and now we'll move down to her legs. She's going to have one leg that comes out and in, so let's do that one first. So curve out a little bit, and we're going to do a confident sort of line for her thigh, coming out and down the middle line about here, so sort of 2 centimeters, maybe a little bit more. From there, leave a little gap up. We're going to do the inside of the thigh. She has very thick thighs, so let's come in. Yes, curve in and out and give her muscly calves, and the knee. Come to a slight point and let's come down towards the ankle, and then the foot. Curve down and over for the toe, in, curve for the front part of the foot, up, and then the back bit of the foot like this. And you can tweak the shape as you like. I might just give this a bit more shape. I quite like it if it came in a little bit more and then out for the knee. So you can tweak that as you like until you're happy. I quite like this muscly bit here. I'm going to leave that. We're going to get Gorgon's other leg in, and it's coming down like this. So we're going to do the thigh first. Let's do the back of her buttock, and then down for the back of her thigh and in. Here we'll do a knee, her kneecap, and then down towards her foot. This will be the back of her muscly calf again. You make it so that it matches your other one as much as you'd like, and bring it in towards her ankle. And once you've done that, you can work towards her foot, which will come with a curve for the back, the heel of her foot. Down here, her toe, and round. we'll get her wearing her skirt, and that is quite short, so it comes curved like this and then up in a series of angles like that, and those can be decorated, and even here as well we'll decorate. You can do patterns, etc. to decorate that. And she has this sort of belt which seems to have sort of, again, patterns on, like perhaps snake scales, so that can be decorated. She sometimes is depicted with a belt of snakes with their mouths open, and you can, I suppose, use your own sort of imagination to add any details that you think are exciting and make her look more horrific. We will do her wings in a minute, and what's really interesting to note about her wings is that when her head was chopped off, Perseus flew with Hermes' winged shoes over the ocean, and when the drops from her head spilt into the ocean, her son, the winged horse Pegasus, was born. Let's draw Medusa's wings. So either side of her neck in the middle, draw 2 dots. That's where the wings will begin. And either side of her head, let's draw a little mark where you'll draw a curved line that's hopefully as symmetrical as you can, and that will be her wing. So let's curve round and to that point, and again on the other side, curving round as much as you can to make it symmetrical with the other side and to the neck. Then we're going to come up and round. You can do it either the other side of her hand. I think that looks quite nice. Let's make it like that. So it frames her hand. And we do the same on the other side, curving round like that. We're then going to do the other side of her wing. So let's bring a line from her body and curve down in, and the same on the other side. Curve down and in. This bit, we can always make it a little bit fatter. I'm going to double that up. I think it will look better. Oops. And once we double it up, we will then join it onto the body with a curve like this and a curve like that. Her wings, we can add more variety of shape to them and patterns. They do have some typical sort of patterns for wings that are quite stylized but still very lovely and beautiful. And those usually come down like this. So that detail you can add more of when you're ready. But something like this to show the long feathers. And you can do the same on the top wing. Here, these curve nicely round, so getting those longer feathers in like this, all the way down, and on the other side in a similar fashion. Some say that the Gorgon had scales, which is why Perseus was given Hermes' special sword to actually kill her. You could draw her body full of scales, or you could have her wearing clothes. I'll show the clothed version, and I'll leave the scales to you to choose to do if you so wish, or you could do a bit of both. So this is the sort of top she's wearing, and you could do a sort of patterned bit coming down like this on either side. And you could fill these with traditional sort of ancient Greek patterns as well. But I'll leave that to your imagination and research. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Do check out my history art tutorials where there's lots about ancient Egyptian and ancient Greek and Roman monsters, mythological creatures, gods and goddesses, and so forth. Please do like and subscribe. Your support is so gratefully received. And you can also check out my other artwork on Instagram and Facebook and see what I get up to when I'm not making YouTube tutorials.